Thanks for subscribing and listening to us on the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. In this episode, 205, we catch up on the news. Tony Todd speaks up about the impending Candyman movie, new Clive Barker interview in the It's Alive book, a Kickstarter update where you can still buy something cool and help us reach our stretch goal, and lots of feedback and discussion. Thanks for joining us again. This is episode 205 of the Clive Barker Podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jose.
And we are going to talk about news from the Reef.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, so, we've been talking about this in a few episodes, and I know at first we were like, oh no, this is coming back again, and it's probably old news, but then it's not old news. It seems like it's actually been picked up again.
Yeah.
And with the whole thing about Arrow Video and Shout Factory putting out their own Blu-ray editions of Candyman, the news has been out about the Candyman spiritual sequel, right? That's what they call it.
Yes, and I'll be curious to see what they do with it. I would rather that it were just a prequel or a sequel, like straight up, and not calling it. I don't know, but then again, I don't want it. I don't want anything that happened in Candyman 3 to be like considered important. So
yeah, but anyway, so this is that project that Jordan Peele and Monkey Paw Production Company is going to start shooting in the spring of 2019, I guess, if everything goes well, to be released on 2020. And they have a director name called Nia DaCosta. And Sci-Fi Wire got a chance to talk to Tony Todd, and he shared some thoughts, right?
Yeah. Basically, his thoughts were just like, well, I've got a lot of options open, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't choose me for this, but if they don't, I've got other things I can do.
Right. He said, they asked him, how does it feel knowing that Candyman, a role that made you famous in 1992, is now going to be remade in the near future? And he said, I have mixed feelings because I thought they were going to make this 15 years ago.
Yeah.
If this had been 10 years ago when I had heard news, I would have been devastated. I would have fought for it. Now I'm in a different place. I've got so many other options that even if they make it without me, which I doubt, the attention the new movie will create will lead folks back to the original film because people like to see the source material. So that's interesting, and we'll see what happens there. If they bring him back as a cameo or as the actual Candyman, that would be interesting to know.
It really just depends on what they're doing. I mean, if it's a straight up remake of the first movie, they probably wouldn't bring him back because that's confusing.
Right. They said this is going to be about Cabrini Green after it got demolished, and they're gonna make a spiritual sequel, whatever that means. So it seems like it's the trend for remakes is kind of dying out, right? I mean, now it's a soft reboot. Now it's like, well, we'll discard these bad sequels that came out, and then we'll just make one that follows the events of the second or third sequel, and and they don't want to restart the whole thing anymore. Now it's like what they did with Halloween. It's we're not making Halloween again. That's done. We're just going to make a sequel to the first Halloween and pretend like it none of the other 7 movies or 8 movies or whatever ever happened. And I think this is what they're trying to do here. As long as they don't try to do what they did with The Force Awakens, where it's like, let's make a sequel, but let's copy the beats of the first one beat by beat. And yes, they're also going to destroy a gigantic space station again, which is like the 3rd time they do that.
Yeah, right.
As long as they don't do that with Candyman, I think we'll be fine.
Right. Or, or make the ending where you have to break something that he owned to stop him.
Yeah, it's like the mirror that contains the soul of Daniel Robitaille.
Yeah. It was a mirror, and it was something else. And in like number 2, it was a mirror, and in number 3, it was his painting.
Right. Yeah.
You just destroy his stuff, then you can beat Candyman.
I blocked that 3rd one out of my mind, even though we did that commentary track for it.
Yeah, it was that was so terrible.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad, okay? Anyway, so, that's Tony Todd's comments was that he's okay with it. If they bring him back, fine. If not, he has more stuff going on. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, and previously we talked about that there was well, actually, I don't know if we talked about it before. I think we just had a news blog about it. But there's a book coming out called "It's Alive: Bringing Your Nightmares to Life," and it has an interview with Clive Barker by Tim Chismar. And now you can pre-order it from their website, which takes you to a link to Amazon. And they say it's in paperback and Kindle, but when I went to the Amazon link, it really only had a Kindle. It really just had a Kindle link available. Yeah, but yeah, you can pre-order it right now, and it'll be available starting on December 14th, which is, geez, what is today, the 9th or something?
The 8th, as we record this.
Yeah, so it'll be the 9th when this airs. So yeah, that's only just a few days away. So it'll be really interesting to see a new interview with Clive.
It's book 2 in Crystal Lake Publishing's Dreamweaver series, and it picks up where the Bram Stoker Award nominated Where Nightmares Come From, The Art of Storytelling in the Horror Genre left off. So it's called It's Alive, Bringing Your Nightmares to Life. That's the complete title. And it focuses on learning the craft in order to take your story from concept to completion. So, like you mentioned, Richard Chismar, he makes the introduction for the book. And then there's a bunch of authors, and you get essays called What is Writing and Why Write Horror by John Skipp. You have stuff like The Cult of Constraint, Zombies, Ghosts, and Vampires, The Many Faces of Horror, Craft Techniques, The Horror Writer's Ultimate Toolbox, Sympathetic Characters Taste Better, Creating Empathy in Horror Fiction. And then it just says Interview with Clive Barker by Tim Chismar. But there's so many different essays in here. What Came First, The Monster or the Plot? In Conversation with Stephen Jones by Vince Lejuno. So you have all these interesting academic style essays that, I'm saying this, but I haven't read it yet, but I'm saying that it seems from the titles and from the people that they got to be in this book that this is going to be really heavy book, but also very educational. So if you're into this whole thing, if you're into horror books, if you're into writing, if you want to be a writer, I think this is probably a good book for you to buy and learn how other established horror writers work their craft.
Yeah. Should be really interesting and cool. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it, later on.
I mean, you can't go wrong when you have an essay in the book that says, edit your anthology in your basement for fun and profit, or not. Yeah.
All right.
So that's very cool. We have that on our blog, and do we add this link to the show notes in the episode? I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Russell Charrington, we've talked about this before, but he's selling some original Clive sketches and paintings, I think, too. But right now he's talking more about the sketches to help fund a movie project that he's going to be doing in Los Angeles. So great chance to get some original Clive Barker art.
Yeah, he says he has some ranging from about $100 or $150 up, and he's got sketches from all sorts of creatures and Aberrat sketches and stuff like that. So here's your chance to, if you have some money laying around and you want to put some fantasy on your walls, this is your chance. Get a really neat sketch by Clive Barker. Or he also has a handful of canvases available upon request.
Yeah, and then speaking of artwork, Maddie Taylor, just this surprised me. It was like he did all these paintings of inspired by Aberrat and Clive Barker stuff, and they're amazing. So we'll have a link so you can take a look at those.
Yeah, so Maddie Taylor is friends with me on Facebook. He's one of our listeners as well. I think he's also in your friends list.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was scrolling on my Facebook feed, and I'm like, "Whoa, what the hell is this?" And it says, check out these Aberrat renditions by Maddie Taylor. And, oh, wait, that was my post. Yeah. So but so yeah, I was looking around and he posted it in a few groups, and it says, "I've been reading Aberrat again, and this time I took the time to quickly capture some of the incredible creatures and creations that he describes in the book as I read. Here are a first few, all slapped down quickly with a Pentel pocket brush pen, and then blasted with vibrant Derivan Ergo Pro markers. I will do another post when I have a few more in my new little sketchbook. Trying to keep things loose and bright, just enjoying the rapid fumbling quality of learning and experimenting again. Hope you guys are happy, enjoying life." So he made a John Mischief, right?
Yeah.
All the little brother mischiefs on his head. And he made the magician with the multiple hats.
Yeah.
And the Terry cats. And he did those creatures in the Sea of Isabella.
Right,
the
where they're
players.
playing cards with the table and floating on the waves.
I mean, that's such a crazy visual
Houlihan,
image.
the crisscross man with the sword scabbards in his back.
Yeah, yeah. And Dodo and Tropella from the card players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such beautiful, vibrant colors, such great work that he did. We had to share it on the podcast page. And thank you so much, Maddie Taylor, for making these. And we're looking forward to seeing more of your work.
Yeah, really cool. So, also in the news, I don't know if we can call this news, but our Kickstarter, we're at $1,206. And so that means we've hit all of our goals all the way up to doing Dark Ditties commentaries. And what we have left now, if we just get like $44 more, we'll do a series of episodes about the Harrowers comics.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then after that, we'll talk about Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I really hope we get to, because I liked that show and I wanna be able to talk about it.
Yeah, Netflix.
And then we'll talk about The Last Movie Star, and we'll bring the Duels of Blood back if we get to $1,400. And
yep.
I just added another one after that. If we get to $1,500, we'll talk about a script that's never been talked about or at all. It's called American Primitive, a Fable, and it was written by Clive Barker in 1996.
Oh, fresh, unpublished stuff. Ooh. Yep, little birdie gave this to us a few years ago, and we've been keeping it in the back burner. So, if you want to hear about that, you're going to have to go to our Kickstarter page and pledge your support, and we really thank you for that.
And you don't have to just give us money and not get anything. We've got lots of cool stuff you can still buy. So there's lots of cool collectible Clive Barker stuff that we've been getting, over the years from Seraphim. And that stuff is still available. Plus, you could get a copy of our interview book if you haven't ordered one in previous Kickstarters yet. Now's a good time to do that. Or our T-shirt. The very first T-shirt that we ever did, the first design that you put together.
Yes, available in black, because I know that white T-shirts or sandy-colored T-shirts didn't seem to be that popular. So we're back to our black T-shirt design.
Yeah. So Barbie Wild had asked us about those, so we'll be putting one aside for you, Barbie, if you're listening. But yeah, so that I like that design too. That's one of my favorite T-shirts that I like wearing around the house.
Oh, thanks. That was fun to make. Yeah. That was a fun design to make. But I still have a deep connection to the second design that we did that was based on an idea by Rob.
Yeah.
And the one that we had on the last Kickstarter with the island with the skull with the three eyes. And then there's a little guy who's taken from the Vesalius anatomy book and is just like facing the horror of this island that has a giant skull with three eyes looking down at him. It could be in the Sea of Isabella for all I care.
I really like that design too. I think that, I guess just because it was the sandy colored instead of black, that it wasn't as popular. And you took a look at doing it in black with a white sketch, but it didn't come out right.
Yeah, it's some things, if they're very complex, they need to be done in positive. If you turn them into negative, it just looks even weirder. The more complex the image, if you put it in negative, it just becomes strange. Like your brain tries to make sense of it. It's like, I don't understand this. Flip it back into positive, please. So
yeah. Well, we'll have a link in the show notes, but you can also just go to Kickstarter.com and search for Clive Barker or Clive Barker Podcast, and it's still running as of when this airs on, it'll be 17 days to go. So
that's a lot of time. Yeah,
we're at the halfway point, and it's normal. Every time we've done this, we've had a period in the middle where nothing's happening or we're not getting bids. It's usually really big at the beginning and really big at the end.
yes. And then if we get any more donations for stretch goals or things that we can put up, we will put some more stuff up. We're still waiting on a few things that are being donated by some people, but I guess we'll update that as we go along.
Yes.
Like Peter Atkins sent us something, right?
Yeah. And that hasn't arrived yet, but it should be really soon, because I think it was like a week ago that he was putting that in the mail. Right. And also originally we had 4 Cabal cuts and only 2 sleeves, but now I think there are plenty of sleeves for all of those, and we may even have some extras that we can just put up if you want to just put a sleeve on your standard edition Cabal Cut Blu-ray.
So our Kickstarter ends on December 26th, which is the day after Christmas. So you can take advantage of this Kickstarter to give that Clive Barker fan that some cool stuff on his little stocking. So even though it might arrive after Christmas, but that's different.
Yeah, but you can always put together an IOU or a little voucher or something, and we can even make something for you if you want that shows what you're getting.
Yeah, just like Kenner did for the Star Wars toys back in
oh yeah, that's right,
in the 70s. Remember that?
Yes.
They had parents give their kids like an IOU saying, well, you're going to get a Star Wars figurine, but you're going to get it back in January.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of kids might have been like, what the heck is this?
Yeah. Yep. I remember when Star Wars came out, I got a big old card that was like a long one that had it was like one long bubble pack that had all of them in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I wish I still had that still in the package. That would be really cool.
Now you go to Target and you can't throw a rock without hitting something with the Star Wars logo on it. But that's a different thing now.
Yeah, you can't keep track of that. I mean, I guess there are people that can, but not us.
Yeah. So what's up? What's next?
Yeah. So Kickstarter, go check it out. Buy our book if you haven't done that already, or get some other kind of cool Clive Barker collectible, and you'll be helping us to fund another season with cool content and stuff. So
that's right. And I had a question for you actually about the Kickstarter, because I noticed you made some of the goal images that we have on the Kickstarter, and we had the goal for 700, which was called Pay the Bills. And there's an image there that looks like a painting of someone opening a jacket, and there's like a fantasy land. Is that Shadwell? Is that a Clive Barker painting?
It's Shadwell, but I don't think it's a Clive Barker painting. I think it was some kind of unused artwork for a cover. For a book cover.
Okay. So you had this image with you?
Yeah, I think it was in our bank of stuff that we've gotten, artwork and stuff that we gotten. Yeah,
I see. Because I did not know what that image was, and I was like, that looks like Shadwell from Weave World.
Yeah.
And turns out it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool idea. I was just thinking, I thought of Pay the Bills, and I thought it made me think of Shadwell and his jacket, so I started searching for something like that.
That's a really nice image. We could probably start making reviews of certain paintings that we like. That would be an interesting thing to come up with for the blog.
Yeah.
Rob did that for a while, right? He had some articles that he put up on the blog very regularly for a while, where he talked about some of the paintings that he liked. And Marcus did the same. Marcus Williams, another one of our team members. Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting.
And on the site, speaking of Rob, he put together a sort of a feature piece describing his feelings about Clive Barker coming back and being out there in doing autographs and stuff at conventions. And it's called Homecoming Time. Welcome back, Clive Barker. And it was a really well put together article that I think he's put a lot of time and thought into. And I think, go over to clivebarkercast.com and look it up, because I think, and we'll have a link here in the show notes too. But that was really good.
I think he struggled a lot to finish this article after the Texas Frightmare weekend, but it's something he wanted to do for a long time, and it was putting his feelings on paper about meeting Clive Barker and his happiness at the fact that Clive Barker is coming back to conventions and meeting fans and signing stuff back. So that was something that he was really happy with it, and he posted some clips from the Arrow Videos interview with Clive Barker and the Candyman Blu-ray. So very nice, very interesting article, and I shared it on my own Facebook page because I just loved it so much.
Yeah, really, really well done. And and you did a happy birthday Tony Todd little feature, just to say happy birthday to Tony Todd of Candyman.
Yay!
Fame. Yeah, and that was like 3 days ago, or I think something like that.
Yeah, I posted it up like 4 days ago.
Yeah,
and
on the 4th.
And I hope everybody got a chance to tweet at Tony Todd 54 and say happy birthday, Tony Todd. Yep. So that's his Twitter handle, Tony Todd 54.
Yeah, and this one is not news, but I just brought back the old book trailer from 2015. It was created by Dave School, which I don't know what the Dave School is, but but they put together a fan made trailer for a movie that doesn't exist of an animated CGI animated movie of the Thief of Always.
Right. So the Dave School is the Digital Animation and Visual Effects School. So that's DAVE school.
I'm disappointed that it's not a guy named Dave.
Yeah, right. So, and so they're a really amazing school for animation and visual effects, and they made this book trailer, like one of their class student class made this book trailer about Thief of Always, and they ended up winning a regional Emmy. So the movie itself was directed by Matt Killian, and the art director was Ryan Feltman, and the visual effects supervisor was called Tom Bremer. And I believe that these people, the students got together and they ended up making this book trailer. It's really very detailed, and it just shows that a Thief of Always animated movie would be amazing. It would just be a tremendous thing to make an entire story. And they do show in the trailer lots of like scenes, memorable moments from the book. And I wish this was a full length thing, because it would be so cool to see this.
It would be. Yeah,
I wish they would go back to this and somehow make the rest of the movie, please.
Yeah. Well, and they probably they probably were wary of trying to do that because for so many years Clive Barker's been trying to get a movie made of the Thief of Always. Right.
So this was not done in an official capacity, but it was a great tribute to the book, and they made it in the form trailer. So at the end you see like read them again, and they see all the editions of the paperback, including the Scholastic one. So very beautiful video. It's available on YouTube and Vimeo, and you made that article. So good job bringing that back. It's always great to revisit these things.
Yeah. And, and then so feedback, we had Ed and Nina Martinez wrote a couple of messages to Rob. They said, "Thank you for this, Rob. This was very nice. I had Nina read it to me and play the video clips. I hope that the Clive Barker cast can continue to upload spoken word versions of the news feed and the YouTube channel so that non-sighted people like me can enjoy your content. All the best. Keep up the good work. Look forward to your next participation on the actual podcast, my friend." So yeah, we're kind of hoping that Rob will find time to be on the podcast again as well. And of
course, he's always more than welcome to drop by and be a part of our episode.
And as for recording audio versions of these episodes, of these blog posts, it takes a little bit of coordinating amongst us to get that done. So it's usually not right away. As soon as a blog post goes up, it's really hard to also have the audio version up at the same time. I can do it because I have access to all of that stuff, but for everybody else, it involves sending me an MP3 file, and then when I'm not at work or Joel's asleep, then I can upload that and attach it to the blog post.
But we'll keep doing the best we can to put up these little Reef updates, right?
Yeah. And Ed and Nina Martinez also said, "Thank you for this, Rob. Great article. Thanks for mentioning my name. By the way, thank you to Pete Atkins for allowing me to provide the script for the fans." This is about his Hellraiser 4 article about the director's cut.
Oh, right, yes.
He gave it to me many years ago with his blessing, saying he would like the fans to read what he originally intended for the film. I also reported on the film for Cenobium and was able to visit the sets and interview everyone involved and bring my video camera. So I have some rare behind-the-scenes material. Unfortunately, it's only home video style handycam footage, but perhaps if any special edition were to be created, I could provide my footage. Of course, I would also love to see a special edition released as per your suggestion in this article.
And Rob, he actually did a comment on his post on Facebook, and he put up the email address for Lionsgate, I think.
Yes.
Because he says that Lionsgate is now the company that owns the rights to Hellraiser Bloodline to distribute.
I had no idea that was true. What a mess! Why do all these different companies have the rights to different Hellraiser movies?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to keep track as well. But if I'm going by what he said, then he put up an email address that you can send a message to Lionsgate and just let them know that you like this movie. Let them know what this movie means to you, why you like it, why would you like to see it re-released in a proper edition. And if possible, if there's any way that we could get any sort of bonus stuff from this. Again, personally, I tend to be a little skeptical that we'll ever see a special edition of Bloodline, just because it is an Alan Smithy film.
Yeah.
And just because I don't think anything will happen until someone actually connected to the production of the movie or the directing of the movie steps up and says, yeah, I'm available to work on this.
Yeah.
But since it's an Alan Smithy film,
right.
Without having a director, what are you going to do? You're going to have just someone make their own edit of the movie and then just put the stuff in as a bonus. I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, or you just take the version that he had that he used as a pitch, and put that on there as a bonus feature.
I mean, we know that there are work prints out there, and we know that Kevin Yeager has some work that he did, but it was heavily incomplete.
Yeah.
Right. So there were lots of shots that were missing. There were lots of scenes that hadn't been done yet. And pickup shots and second unit shots probably never got done. So
it would have missing pieces in it for sure.
Yeah, so it'd always be a compromised version, but
I don't know. And also, if they made a definitive Hellraiser Bloodline, who would do the audio commentary for it?
Hey, I'm willing to do it if you want. If you want to bring me in, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I have lots of stuff I want to talk about that movie for.
Yeah. That would be great fun. Maybe you and Rob Ridenauer could do it.
Yeah. And so Paul Fluid said, great article. Awesome to see the clips from his recent interview. So he's talking about the homecoming, welcoming back Clive. So he says that, I'll be honest, as much as I would love to see Clive in the UK at some point, I wouldn't want it to be at the cost of his health. With that in mind, I'm quite content to live vicariously through the experiences of the American fans and maintain a relationship with him through his work. I just wish him a happy existence and a productive career for as long as he wishes to write, paint, and offer us glimpses into his imagination. Yeah. Thank you. That's a lovely message.
Yeah. Stephen Wade Austin said, my favorite film in the series, Hellraiser Deader. What are your thoughts in that film? And, Rob, I think, answered that saying like it wasn't his favorite, but he liked the lead actress in that. And I think, I have to concur. I think she did a great job, but the movie, you had pointed this out a lot, but the movie really drags. I mean, there's a lot of shots of her just walking or wandering around. Yeah.
I'll just say one thing about this movie. Sometimes deader isn't better.
You're going to get sued by Stephen King.
I know.
Yeah. And then Rick Lupp said, I've been waiting for the movie for over 20 years. Monster House was this is about Thief of Always. Monster House was a very bad ripoff. I'd love to see a Magica, The Great and Secret Show, Weave World, and the Books of Abarat made into movies.
Sure.
I didn't see Monster House, but I could totally see I remember the trailer for that, and I do
too. Yeah. And the poster.
I don't know
there's
about
like 3
ripoff
kids.
because it seems a little more straightforward and like this is a haunted house that's alive kind of a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not as subtle and interesting probably as The Thief of Always would be.
Haunted houses and kids in movies have always kind of walked hand in hand.
Yeah.
Either the kid is the one that can see the ghosts, or there's a family that moves into a house and they have a bunch of kids, and they're going to get haunted,
or there's always kids like daring another kid to go up to the house
or go down to the basement or go up to the attic, or that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to see that movie. I never saw it just because it was more geared for kids, it seemed to me at the time, so I never really saw Monster House. But
that's why I didn't see it.
I like the CGI animation of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of am doubting that it's very similar.
I wouldn't be crazy about seeing Magica as an animated film. I would like to see it more with live action, if possible. The Great and Secret Show as well, but I could see Weave World and Thief of Always and the Books of Aberrat in animated form. I think Weave World would work well as an animated film.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And I think that I would like to see, if Imagica was done, I think I've said this a lot of times, but I'd like to just see it spread out over a miniseries, on cable or something.
Yep. And then Carla Bailey asks, have the rights to this been released by Disney yet? I think she's talking about The Thief of Always.
Yes.
Leica would be an excellent choice to see it made properly. So I'm not sure what Leica is. Is that a production company?
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Disney has the rights other than to Thief of Always, do they? I thought it was like 20th Century Fox. These things are hard to keep track of. And 20th Century Fox is owned by Disney now, so...
Yeah. Or maybe she's talking about Aberrat, because Aberrat did get optioned by Disney at one point, didn't it?
No, but this was a comment on the Thief of Always book trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Amanda Michelle says, remakes are bad news. Look at Nightmare on Elm Street. Robert Englund is the one and only Freddy, as far as I'm concerned. Doug Bradley, Pinhead, and Tony Todd is Candyman. As they say in Highlander, there can be only one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sure, I see what you're trying to say there, and I agree. But I mean, I'm not super opposed to recasting some characters every once in a while. Of course, my natural instinct is just to say that I would rather see a good sequel, even if it means without Pinhead, than to bring Pinhead for another bad sequel.
Yeah. Right. Like an original cool Hellraiser story is going to be better than Hellworld any day.
Yeah.
And that's not Doug Bradley's fault. He's awesome, but that was just a bad script and a cheap movie, and it was hokey.
I think a lot of people are just tired of seeing the same ideas get reused, and personally, I thought the 90s were a period of a lot of experimentation when it came to making movies, and especially scary movies, right? We had so many original ideas come out in the 90s, and franchises were created in the 90s, and so I don't know. It seems like things have kind of plateaued in terms of originality and ideas, and it's just more about making an experience of going to the theater instead of just going to the theater to watch a movie. If a movie trailer has night footage of the audience watching the movie, then that's not really about a movie, is it? It's about the experience. Like when they did with Paranormal Activity, and the promo videos were like the audience in night vision and how they were jumping around with the scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why aren't you showing me the movie? Why are you showing me the reaction of the test audiences? I don't really care about that. But
yeah, right.
Nowadays it's like, I wonder if at one point we're going to go back to...
They're not going to show people that are asleep or whatever.
I wonder if at some point we're going to see a revisiting of an updated revisiting of the old William Castle techniques for getting people to put their butts in theater seats, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they try the 3D technology and the IMAX and all that, and it's like it never really picked up that much. I mean, I don't really see I mean, there were some blockbusters that were 3D, but then I keep reading interviews with directors, and they're like, this movie could have been done in 3D, but I just didn't think it would add anything to it, and blah blah blah. It's like,
yeah,
I keep hearing directors talk about that and the choices of why they don't prefer. Some of them even tell you, don't watch this movie in 3D, just watch it in 2D because I don't like how it came out in 3D. Yeah. And the 3D seems to be a little bit like a gimmick that's maybe on its way out.
When you go to see a theater, does it matter to you which one you see?
No. I mean, the last 3D movie that I saw might have been, what was it? It might have been, so I saw Avatar. That was in 3D. And then I saw...
And that one needs to be
I think it was
3D, I think.
Yeah, I think it was an animated film of some sort. I forgot which one was the last that I saw in 3D.
I can't remember because every time I base it on the running on the time slot. You know, it's like, well, which one fits my schedule better? And I don't care whether it's in 3D or not.
Right. Usually I just go for like the 2D one because I don't know. In 3D, it seems like you get distracted from the movie with the whole idea of like, oh, let me see how the effect is being done here, or then you're trying to focus on something and it's like there's a lot of action and you can't really tell the 3D, and you want to take the glasses off and just watch it in 2D, but then it's like you take the glasses off and everything's fuzzy, and then you're like, okay, I have to keep the glasses on, and sometimes it's hard to focus. And if you wear glasses, for example,
you have to put for people who wear glasses, top of your glasses,
that's even worse, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if 3D is on its way out, or, you know, it was a big deal because it was a new technology. It's like, hey, this is like actual real 3D, not like the weird green and blue stuff.
Yeah. So I guess we were talking about that in the sense that remakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to say, when you say there can be only one, you have to say it, there can be only one.
Yeah, and then everything explodes.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, thanks Amanda for your comment. Really cool. I mean, like I said, I'm not opposed to remakes. I just wish that there's so much more stuff that Clive has done that could be adapted. That I feel like investing into another Hellraiser remake is just a waste of time. I mean, do Weaveworld, do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, those things could happen at the same time too. We'll report on all of them. We'll say our opinions on everything that gets done. But with Candyman, we don't even, like we said before, we don't really know that it's a remake. I mean, it could be a sequel, but like only a sequel to the first movie or the first two movies. Or it could be a prequel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be something completely different. You know, it could be... They could have a cameo with Tony Todd, but not have Candyman be Tony Todd, for all I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
hopefully we'll get more details on the plot of the movie but geez, you know, June 2020, that seems like so far away.
It sure does. We still have an entire year to go through.
Yeah.
But you know, it right now things will move really, really quickly, and if it's going to happen, then we'll report on that. And next thing you know, we'll be talking about our next Kickstarter.
Yeah, right.
Seems like years are going by quicker and quicker.
Yeah. Well, in this podcast, having no beginning will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com, where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.